UFC Vegas 102 just recently wrapped up, and I am going to recap the entire card. I'm going to start with the first fight of the night and then work my way up to the main event. So let's start it off. Fight number one. The ladies went after it. It was Julia Avila versus Jacqueline Cavalcanti. Pretty one-sided striking fight for the most part. Cavalcanti ended up on her back in round two towards the end, but Avila did pretty much nothing. She got her nose busted up in this fight. Cavalcanti was pretty deceptive from range, working solid straight shots, some decent kicks too, nothing too crazy with the kicking side of things, but clean boxing, striking from range, comfortable from the outside. She pretty much picked apart Julia Avila and busted up her face for 3 rounds. One-sided fight, and after the fight, Avila went on to retire, which I'm not surprised about. I was shocked that she was still ranked. She hasn't won a fight in like 3 years, and she was sitting as a ranked women's bantamweight, ranked number 12 in the world. I don't even understand how that's a possibility. That made no sense to me. Cavalcanti came in looking to slowly move up her way in the rankings. She's still young in her 20s, but pretty good striker. Doesn't have the finishes, to get too excited about her, but at the end of the day, women's MMA kickboxer, strikes well from distance. I think she'll do all right. Trying to think, like, moving on up the ranks, competition's got to stiffen up a bit. Avila probably should have retired 3 years ago. She's currently what? Going to be ranked. Let's say she'll be number 12. I mean, I don't even know if Misha Tate's fighting anymore. Yana Santos fight's intriguing. That's a potential matchup on the horizon. If Santos is not booked for anything, I don't see that she's booked. Yana Santos versus Cavalcanti. That's a bit of a jump up in competition, but not moving too fast up the ranks. I feel like that actually makes a lot of sense. Maybe that's the next fight for her. And then Avila, she, cited some Bible verses. God bless her. She's a nice lady, but she does not need to be fighting as a pro anymore. 36 years old. Her last win came back, it was 2022, I believe? No, 2021. She beat Julia Stoliarenko. That's not even a marquee win. Stoliarenko's 2-6 in the UFC. She's pretty bad. I remember when she had hype, though. So since she retired, I will reminisce on her. When she beat Gina Mazzani, I was like, yo, does she actually got the goods? And then I remember her just being such a huge favorite, minus 275 official line. But it was like everybody thought she was going to wash Sijara Eubanks. And then she lost the unanimous decision. That was pretty bad. And since then, just the Stoliarenko fight, and that loss was in 2020. Tate beat her, and then Cavalcanti beats her. Cavalcanti's a decent prospect. We'll keep an eye on her. I'm not going to raise my expectations too much. I don't know. She's clean with the striking, but I just feel like she could get caught by some big shots, and I am very sus of her grappling. I just think as it gets to a higher level, girls that can actually land some takedowns and embrace the grind a bit could give her a bit of difficulty. Good win for Cavalcanti, though. Good pick, too, for me. Valter Walker. All I got to say is his name, but he fought Dontel Mays. Let's give Mays some respect. I don't want to diss on Dontel too much. Valter Walker did exactly what he had to do. Takedown immediately. Valter Walker got Dontel Mays down. And when I saw that takedown, I said to the chat, I said, guys, this fight is wraps. If you are not stopping the first takedown when you are at your 100% stamina, when you're at the absolute peak strength of yourself you'll have throughout the fight, you ain't stopping them later, especially. But it didn't matter. Walker takedown, little bit of work from the top, not really, and then locks up the heel hook. We've seen Dontel Mays in the 3rd round tapped out by Cyril Gane with a heel hook, and Valter Walker is definitely better at grappling than Cyril Gane. So Walker made it look super easy. Back-to-back submissions for him, tangling up the legs. I like this, man. I'll tell you something about Valter Walker that has turned me into a fan. It's the fact that he has consistently shown up in better physical condition, okay? You look at his UFC debut against Lucas Dreshki, he was a little fat. He weighed in at 264? Definitely wasn't optimizing his training. Now, dude came in at 245. Last fight, he was 252. He lost even more body fat. Absolutely peeled. For heavyweight, he's one of the more cut fighters. Good wrestling. Now has probably got a decent gas tank and is dialing in to work and striking. Valter Walker is going to be ranked come Monday because Dontel Mays somehow, with no wins over anybody in the UFC, was ranked at heavyweight leading into this fight at 15. Valter Walker burst into the rankings. He's a tough matchup for some of these other heavyweights. With his wrestling, like as good as Waldo Cortez Acosta's boxing is, right? I think Waldo gets taken down by Valter Walker. And the fact that Walker has 2025 jiu-jitsu shooting for the legs a bit, well, these heavyweights aren't trained in that shit. These heavyweights don't have crafty jits like that. Like, sure, Jailton Almeida, Sergey Spivak, Marcin Tybura, that caliber of grappler towards like the top 6 to top 8, they have those type of skills. But when I look at guys like Waldo, right? Even Mick Parkin, I don't know about his ground game. He's mostly kickboxing. And Zetchaku, another guy. Bro, Valter Walker, are they going to just give him Tai Tuivasa and put him on the fast track and he just leg locks Tai Tuivasa, another heel hook, fight over? It'll be wraps, man. This fight was 1 minute, 17 seconds. But Walker said the right things on the mic. I definitely became a fan because of seeing improvement. When he fought in the UFC for the first time, I said, bro, this guy, he's lazy. He's going to be a bum. But you know what he did? He proved me wrong in the next fight. He came in absolutely in shape. Granted, he was an easy pick against Junior Tafa, who can't grapple. But now beating Don'Tale Mayes, who's, I know I'm giving him a hard time, but still, longtime staple of the heavyweight division, still was ranked at number 15 in the world. I mean, he went 3 rounds with Shamil Gaziev in his last fight. Valter Walker made this look super easy, man. And he's on notice now at heavyweight. I'm keeping my eye on him. A heavyweight with a leg lock game? I'm a fan. His leg entanglement skills are good, and he's coming in shape. He's the brother of Johnny Walker. He's got that same chaotic vibe, but let's hope he's got a better chin. Valter Walker breaking into the top 15. Next fight, Vince Morales, Elijah Smith. This one was fantastic. This was a really excellent fight, actually. Valter Walker and, Don'Tale Mayes was like a prospect easily breaking through a vet. This one right here was Elijah Smith absolutely getting pushed to the breaking point and proving that he's got the ability to thrive at least an okay level. I mean, bro is 22 years old. You have to rate that win highly because of his youth. 22-year-old to go out and get this W? I thought it was pretty badass. Say what you want about Vince Morales. Yeah, he's got a bad UFC record. He's 3-7 in the UFC now, but I mean, his last fight was against Taylor Lapilus. He had a 5-fight win streak outside the UFC. Vince Morales can definitely throw down. He had some close submission attempts. He was shooting for the Darce. He was shooting for a Peruvian necktie. He had Elijah Smith in multiple testy submission attempts. Ultimately, Elijah Smith was able to survive those entanglements in round 2. Round 3, he did a lot of damage on the feet. He broke Morales' nose and busted him up bad as well. There was a lot of damage done in the fight. Round 1, there was beautiful moments for Elijah Smith looking quick in the striking, but Morales was still finding some right hands. Now, to be honest, the first half of round 1 was so weird because we had a nasty low blow by Vince Morales that kept Elijah Smith down for a couple of minutes. And then we had an eye poke to both eyes by Elijah Smith. I was worried at the start we're going to have a damn no contest. But then Elijah Smith was able to persevere against a very tough Vince Morales, losing a second round and then winning the third round in a testy one, but he did more damage. He did finish the fight in a bad spot, though. Vince Morales had like a standing to the side rear naked choke, not the proper technique. There was no hooks in, but he had the position locked in, kind of like a mix of a rear naked choke and a bulldog choke without the arm in standing. He had it locked. It was kind of more bulldog choke-like, to be honest. I'd probably consider it that. Standing up, and he ended up finishing the fight with that submission, but I think it was like a little too much or too little too late, I guess is the right way to put it. It was a good finish for Vince Morales to probably keep his spot on the roster. He's a fun fighter. You got to give him one more. You got to give Vince Morales one more. Yeah, his record's bad, 3-7. Give him another debuting guy or give him somebody that's on his way out. Give Vince Morales one more fight. He puts on entertaining matchups. But Elijah Smith at 22 is a blue chip prospect and somebody to watch. I definitely think you don't want to move a guy up like this too quick. He's a developing kid. He's got 9 pro fights. He needs a little time to marinate, but winning a UFC debut against a guy that was on his 10th UFC fight, ultimately, I think it's impressive, even though he had some testy moments. Like, he didn't get checked in this one. I thought it was good. Elijah Smith was clean. Good boxing. Good speed. He had some testy moments with Morales, and he fought through them. He showed cardio. He showed heart. And I was impressed with Elijah Smith. Say what you want. I know people are going to shit on him. They're going to look at this, oh, well, Vince Morales gave him a hard fight. Vince sucks. He's 3-7. Bro, Elijah Smith is 22, and this was the biggest fight of his life by a long shot. UFC debut against the most experienced guy he'd ever fought, with a lot of experience at a high level, too, not just numbers on the record. And Elijah Smith was able to beat him. So respect to Smith getting it done against a tough Vince Morales. Next fight, Gabriel Bonfim absolutely exposed Khaos Williams. I mean, we've seen Khaos exposed a few times, but I think a lot of people refuse to believe that Khaos Williams is simply inefficient besides having a puncher's chance. It's like they want to hold on to the hope. I had that hope before he lost to Michel Pereira, but like I slowly but surely started really losing faith in his ability to land accurate shots. Khaos Williams is like, I use the example, it's a bit of an inflated example, but he's like a Deontay Wilder of welterweight MMA. Big knockout power. If he hits you, he can do serious damage, but he really doesn't have technique. He's really just a wild, swanging brawler, whereas Gabriel Bonfim was calculated and technical with his straight punches, fought well from the outside, best jab I've ever seen from him, attacked the legs nicely at Khaos Williams. Khaos was just swinging wide shots, and towards the end of the fight, Khaos, he started just getting kind of wild. He got over aggressive and chaotic. Now, he did escape a dangerous back position early in the fight, but it was using pure strength. And doing those type of techniques, like, is not going to hold up in a 3-round fight. You might get it early in the fight, but as the fatigue sets in, you're not going to be able to use just pure muscle to escape positions. Bonfim eventually locks up the Doris choke. It was wraps when they got to the ground. It was done for. Bonfim landed some good takedowns, well-timed takedowns, good strikes on the feet. He outstruck Khaos Williams. He gave him a lesson there in technical kickboxing, and he easily tapped him. Second round sub, but an impressive finish. Khaos, he had never been submitted before, but ultimately my pick was Bonfim by sub. And I had mentioned to you guys that the reason Khaos never been submitted is because he's never fought somebody with good jiu-jitsu like this. Bonfim's jiu-jitsu is legit. People wrote him off a little bit after the Nicholas Dalby loss, but I actually think that he's consistently improved since then, and he's really filled the gap with his biggest weakness being cardio. Now, I really think he can go 3 hard rounds. That loss was important for his career. Certain losses, man, these fighters need, and they grow from them. You find out. Some fighters break with the loss. Some fighters are made through a loss. Gabriel Bonfim, by far, the better Bonfim brother. I like his skills a lot, man. I like his skills a lot. When I think of Gabriel Bonfim, I'm like, yo, welterweight, they got somebody to cook with. He's still young in his 20s, right? And he did lose that fight to Dalby, who's right outside of the rankings. But, like, I think he's got a good chance to beat a Vicente Luque. Now, when you start moving up the ranks, there's hard matchups there, right? Another prospect battle between him and Michael Morales, that's a tough fight. Carlos Prates, that's a tough fight. Obviously, Michael Venom Page will be a hard fight. A Jeff Neal matchup is actually not out of the realm of like a possibility for him to win. I'm not saying he gets that fight next. I still think he's going to need another unranked foe, maybe even potentially rebooking the Renat Fakhretdinov matchup. I don't think that's a horrible idea. I still would be curious to see those two fight. But ultimately, Bonfim seems to be destined towards the top 15. And the ability to adapt and improve is something that he's shown, which I think we need to hold in very high regard, man. His adaptability and his improvements in his game, cardio-wise, striking skill-wise, he's just become a better fighter. Each and every time we see him, he's better. And I say the opposite with his brother. We'll get to that fight a little later, but he has shown consistent improvement, and I absolutely love it. The loss did not break him. The loss made him, and that is why I think he's going to be a success. Bonfim, excellent win. Excellent win. Next fight, Estevam Jesus Aguilar. What this was a warning to everybody in the future. Estevam is 13-0, but he will not remain undefeated. I promise you. This guy is going to take a loss. He is not good in round 3. Oh my God, his gas tank is shit. First 2 rounds, Estevam pretty much just grapple fucked Jesus Aguilar. He was in a really tight ghillie at one point in round number 1, but he was able to escape. Good jiu-jitsu defense with the guillotine attempts from Aguilar. It's pretty much all Aguilar really goes for. Estevam's striking his shit. In the 3rd round, it looks horrible, but his wrestling game is okay. And early, he landed some trips. He got on top. He's very much an embrace the grind type of style. He's not a ground and pound specialist. He's a peppering puncher from top. He has horrible back takes. He does not put the hooks in. I don't know why. He doesn't put the hooks in. It's like he forgets that he has legs when he looks to take your back. And multiple times, he like rolled over the top of Aguilar. Absolutely atrocious fundamentals in that area. He's training with Andre Petneris. I don't understand the reasoning why he's not putting the hooks in. It's a simple fix. I don't understand. Unless there's some type of knee issues we don't know about, like, I simply don't get it. Estevam controlled the first 2 rounds. Then in the 3rd round, he was surviving. Aguilar landed good shots on the feet, backed him up, made it tough for him. Aguilar was in his face, man. Estevam was panic shooting, trash takedowns. Estevam is destined to get fraud checked soon. It's just Aguilar was not the guy to do it. In his UFC debut, he won the first 2 rounds against Johnson. And I want to see that Charles Johnson win. His age marvelously. But then he gassed out and lost round 3. Now, in a serious like step down in competition, he gassed out come round number 3 again. Like, I don't like his chances. Imagine they gave him Joshua Van. I think Joshua Van punches a hole in his face and knocks him out violently. I don't think he can break into the top 15. I feel as though he might be a favorite forthcoming because of that record, man. Because of that 13-0 record, he's a Nova União guy, but I don't think he's that good, man. I'm looking at the division. Like, I would favor Alan Nascimento to beat him. I would favor Jafiel Filho to potentially beat him. Does he train with Filho? Yeah, he does. I don't think they'll fight each other. They're both at Nova União. Even Azar Maxim. Alessandro Costa. I actually like that matchup. Him versus Alessandro Costa. I think Alessandro Costa could knock him out. Costa is like a better version of what Jesus Aguilar is. I actually like that Costa fight. Bro, I even think like a Clayton Carpenter can outdog him. Estevam, I'm telling you, bro, the fakest 13-0. Like, obviously, it's a real record, but he's not the next fucking great Brazilian grappler, okay? He's due to get checked with time. Not yet. Not this matchup. It wasn't Jesus Aguilar. I know a lot of people picked Aguilar. I didn't think so. I went Estevam, and I called the decision, and he'd lose the 3rd round, which he did. Ultimately, it's going to be somebody that has a bit of power with grappling defense. They're going to fuck Estevam up, and I look forward to it. Good win for Estevam, though. I mean, a win's a win. Split decision for Angela Hill in the next fight. This was a tit for tat back and forth. So my official scorecard was Angela Hill winning. I thought that she definitely looked very good in the first round. Obviously, she got in top position. She had a little bit of ground and pound, landed pretty good shots in the close range, moved well, and she beat Ketlen Souza in round 1 after landing that takedown. Round 2, I thought Ketlen Souza did a bit more, and Angela Hill, there was talk of her with the UFC media or the UFC commentators, the analysts, I guess you could call them. There was talk of her saying that she wants to improve her optics of how she looks. And in round 2, her optics look like shit. Ketlen Souza's body language was significantly better. Look at Angela Hill was really fatiguing in round 2. Ketlen Souza landed some good shots, had Angela Hill looking clunky and uncomfortable, just over moving. But ultimately, in round 3, Angela Hill did calm herself, land a little bit better in exchanges, put a little bit of a pace on Ketlen Souza. And I thought she scraped by the hair on her fucking ass, or by the hair on my ass, by this much. She got by this much. Late blitz and flurry. She did land a takedown early in round number 3 as well and garnered some control time. I thought she did just enough to win a close decision. Typical Angela Hill fight. She beats Ketlen Souza. Souza's still an okay prospect. I mean, don't be discouraged losing to Angela Hill by decision. She is the queen of decisions, right? She tends to lose a lot of them. She finally gets a split decision win, but she goes the distance all the damn time. I mean, last fight, she gave Tabitha Ritchie a good run for her money, and Ritchie's one of the higher rated girls in the women's division. So ultimately for Ketlen Souza, she was just not ready for the spot. Angela Hill's record on decisions, 12 win, 12 losses. Ketlen Souza now 15-5 as a pro. I still see her as a decent prospect, but nah, she wasn't beating Angela Hill. She's only 29. She's young. She's got a lot of time to grow. But Angela Hill, she was actually 30. I think Tapology got it wrong. But Angela Hill's got the goods, man. Angela Hill's difficult to deal with. She's got good flurrying shots. She's still quick. She's got a little wrestling. She did just enough. She had good tie clinch in the fight, good knee there. She threw some solid strikes, shot some submission attempts up. It was an Angela Hill fight. And at 40 years old, she can still move like an athlete. So I say keep on fighting until the fucking wheels fall off, Angela Hill. She got her 18th pro win. I do think, I'm going to predict this. Angela Hill, before she retires, I think she's going to get 20 pro wins. That's going to be my vote. Not saying she won't take losses in the in-between, but I think she's going to retire with 20 pro wins. Maybe 20-16 she'll retire at. I think she's got about 4 fights left. Angela Hill, for 40 years old, looks in exceptional shape. I got to take a sip, man. It's the recap show. A little Diet Coke sipski over here, man. Shout out. Hey, good performance by Hill. Pulled through. I picked her. I scored it for her. Listen, I'm non-biased with my fucking scorecards. You guys know this. If you watch the channel long enough, I analyze things straight down the center during the fight companions, and Angela Hill won. Next fight on the card is our featured prelim, and did you want to see a dead body? Because Jose Miguel Delgado absolutely starched Connor Matthews. Matthews tried to wrestle early. That was a cool attempt, but it did nothing. And then he was violently fucking knocked out. He was dropped with a huge straight shot, went down, ground and pound by Delgado. I actually thought the ref took too long to stop it. As Delgado got mount, you could see Matthews was lifeless essentially there. Little ground and pound fight over wraps. He trains with Benson Henderson. He's an MMA lab guy, seems to have super high level skills. But by God, Delgado, why? After the fight, he's like, I'm the best in the world. I'm going to show you. I'm like, fuck. Why are you saying that now? Don't. Remember when Trayshawn Gore said he was going to be double champ? All these guys start talking reckless too early and they jinx themselves. I'm not saying don't be confident. I'm not saying don't be confident, but man, it worries me, bro. He's still only 26. Does have a good, height and reach for the lightweight division. 5'11", 73-inch reach. Not bad. And good, strikes well from distance with real power. But let's chill for a sec. Connor Matthews is not UFC level. He trains literally in his mom's basement. It's not a joke. I think that Jose Delgado seems like somebody to keep an eye on, though, because he has the style that the UFC is looking to promote. Knockout ability, always looking for the finish. It's super fun to watch. Likes to talk his, flow on the microphone. He's a featherweight, too. Am I saying lightweight? A featherweight, he's got a great frame. If Jose Delgado can run up the ranks, I really would love Steve Garcia, Jose Delgado, but way too soon. Way too soon. Not yet. Not yet. But Delgado's got a style that could win that matchup. I'm looking right now at like the top 50, right? I don't know the direction they go in. If Bill Algeo wouldn't have retired, I would have said that is the perfect fight, him and Bill Algeo. But as of right now, Algeo is, retired. As of, I think last week he retired. Outside of that, I mean, you don't know the direction, man. They could do like a Lucas Almeida, Danny Silva winner for him next. He might fight a debuting guy. To be honest, though, nah. Korean Tiger and Trevor Peek winner could be cool, but the issue is Delgado got the fight done so quick. Maybe that's not it, but I got an idea. Stay ready. If there's an injury with that Korean Tiger fight, Ji-Young Lee and Trevor Peek, he steps in and fights either one of them. Bro, imagine Trevor Peek versus Delgado. That would go so hard, man. There's a lot of cool matchups on the horizon. I like it, man. I'm looking at this top 100 right now. And Delgado is definitely going to make some waves. I look forward to what's next. I'm a Delgado fan. I'm a fan. I just think you got to chill, man. Don't want to rush too fast. Take your time. There's killers at featherweight. You're 26. Keep developing. I know he feels like he can compete against those high-level guys, which is good. I'm glad he's confident. I'm sure he's done well in sparring. But, let's get a few more UFC fights. A few more. And then we can run them up, man. I'm excited for Delgado, though. We need promising strikers like this, and he seems to have good grappling defense. Training with Benson Henderson, you better have good grappling defense. Respect to Delgado. Violent win. Absolutely badass performance. Good fight. Next fight, it's going to bring us to our main card opener. If you guys haven't, make sure you smash the likes, and if you're new, subscribe it up. Rodolfo Vieira fought Andre Petroski, and Andre Petroski won. I picked Andre Petroski. I don't get why people were so hesitant to pick him. I mean, if you look, the Viera is not a high-level wrestler. He's got high-level jiu-jitsu. Petroski, good wrestling and competes in jiu-jitsu. You'd have to assume a lot of the fight would have been striking, and it was. And I thought Petroski was a bit better at kickboxing, and sure enough, he was. Andre Petroski with a competitive decision. I'll tell you how I scored it. So first round, I scored it for Petroski. He did land a late takedown, and he also landed a knockdown with a hook in that round. People want to say, oh, was it a slip? No, it was a knockdown. It wasn't a, KO, like a knockdown where the opponent's nearly out, but it was a flash knockdown, and it counts for something. He did more damage than Viera. Second round, Viera worked good jabs, made Petroski uncomfortable a bit. Petroski was shying away from the brawl in round two. I scored round two Viera, and I actually thought he was going to start taking over. Something, though, that Petroski did throughout the whole fight, which I think built his confidence, is he defended vast majority of the takedowns. Only one takedown landed for Rodolfo Vieira out of 11 attempts. 10 takedowns defended by Andre Petroski. His high-level wrestling came in handy, and he fought well out of the clinch grappling positions, too. He broke the grip of Viera very nicely. Round three, he landed some decent shots on the feet. It was a relatively good back and forth, but Petroski had a couple of big moments with exchanges. some nasty body kicks. It was competitive, but I think Petroski with a late pace started putting it on Vieira a bit. It seemed like Vieira got more tired than him. And short notice, Andre Petroski outdogged Rodolfo Vieira to a 29-28 unanimous decision. My scorecard was the same. Round 1, round 3, Petroski to pull through. Rodolfo Vieira is great at jiu-jitsu, but his box has gotten better, but he's just not great at wrestling. And he doesn't have power. And Andre Petroski, he gets a lot of shit. Petroski gets shit on a lot. But at the end of the day, a lot of UFC experience at this point. Consistently fighting. I mean, he fights all the time. He's in your face with his style. Not super dangerous, right? But definitely, I mean, he's got power, but he just doesn't have great accuracy. He did what he needed to do. He got by a dangerous jiu-jitsu champion, and he won a competitive decision, which is a marquee win for Andre Petroski. Like, this is a needed W. I mean, for Petroski's career, he's starting to find a little momentum. He's got 3 wins in a row. Now, to be fair, you know, Josh Fremd and Dylan Budka are not big wins. But beating Rodolfo Vieira is relatively legit. He also beat Gerald Meerschaert before his losing streak. He's 8-2 in the UFC. Petroski has, like, silently become 8-2 in the UFC. People fucking don't realize, man. Andre Petroski got a good record, man. When I think about the rankings, he called out Bo Nickel, and I know Bo Nickel, went on Twitter and like pretty much shut down the call out. Oh, I'm not supposed to fight bums. Bo Nickel should not be ranked number 15. And a fight against Andre Petroski for Bo Nickel would actually make perfect sense. But the UFC and whoever is making these rankings is just fucking Bo Nickel Glaze McGee's over there. And they rush Bo Nickel into the top 15, and now he'll probably be fighting forward. But really, Petroski, Bo Nickel makes a lot of sense to me. I think Andre Petroski has more momentum than a Paul Craig. Like what? Paul Craig got a win fucking years ago against Jamal Hill and Ankalaev, and now he's somehow legit. He beat Andre Muniz, okay? I will rather see Petroski versus Bo Nickel as opposed to Bo Nickel versus, like, I don't know, Roman Kopylov or Paulo Costa. I like the call out. I'm not even telling you that Petroski wins or anything like that, but I think it's the right fight. That makes way more sense for Bo Nickel than him fighting somebody in the top 15. Like, they're putting him in the rankings. I don't think he deserved to be ranked. I hate to see Bo Nickel ranked. He should not be. Andre Petroski and Bo Nickel should have been the fight. Unfortunately, because of the rankings, there's a chance they don't do it. But my vote is to actually give him what he called for. Respect that call out. Petroski's on a nice 3-fight win streak. Let's do Bo Nickel and Petroski. Let's find out. I want to see it. I like the matchup. Good win for Petroski, man. Next one, Nazim Sadykhov and Ismael Bonfim. Listen, this fight made me very happy. My savage dog lock of the week was Nazim Sadykhov. You guys knew the hype was riding on this fight. The heat was riding on the fight. The night was riding on the fight. I thought that he had a great chance to pull through, and ultimately he did. Early in round 1, Bonfim was looking so quick with his combinations, and I noticed Bonfim, when he is on the offensive and you don't give him anything back and don't make him respect your power, bro, he flows beautifully. Bonfim was letting combinations fly and just making Sadykhov uncomfortable. But it all comes down to one moment. Sadykhov landed an absolutely gnarly kick to the head that sliced up the eye of Bonfim. Bonfim, you could tell at the end of the round, he was in big trouble. Sadykhov's attacking him a bit, and Bonfim's just shying away. He keeps touching at the eye. He quits in the corner. What did I tell you guys leading up to the fight? If you don't know, you're new to the channel. Well, now you're going to find out. I said Ismael Bonfim quits. Against Benoit Saint-Denis, he did not fight the hands at all. He just tapped quickly. When he's losing fights, he breaks. When he's looking good and he's cruising to a win, he looks phenomenal. When he's the one dictating the pace and how the fight's going, looks great. When it's easy, he does great. But when things get tough and he's got to dig deep, he's like, I'm good. I can't see. He told the doctor, I can't see. He wanted out of the fight. He quit. He quit. That's the truth. He quit. Good. I'm glad that he quit. Listen, I was on Team Sadykhov, so I was grateful that he quit between rounds. Nazim Sadykhov is tough, man. His striking is good. He flows well from southpaw. His high kicks are dangerous. I didn't like that he was letting Bonfim walking him down, but it didn't matter because ultimately he laid the hammer with the high kick and he was able to, give him enough damage to the eye where Bonfim gave up between rounds. And Sadykhov cashes as a big underdog. Underrated guy, too. Like right now, what? 3-0-1 in the UFC. The draw with Slava Claus, he nearly knocks Slava out and then ends up getting tired in round 3. This is a weird fight. At the end of the day, Nazim Sadykhov has yet to lose since his professional debut. He's on an absolute tear right now. And him beating Ismael Bonfim and landing that high kick, this is a big win for him, man. And I knew it. I said, Ismael Bonfim will be sacrificed for the success of his brother. And sure enough, it's reality. Ismael Bonfim, he burst on the scene with that knockout at Terrence McKinney that blew up his stock. He's never been that good because he don't have dog in him. He's technically sound. He's got a pretty style, right? When he's on point, letting his offense go, you're like, wow, this looks so nice. But when he gets hit with a big shot, he shies away from a fight. When he gets outpaced, he shies away from a fight. When he gets kicked in the face, he's like, I'm good. It is what it is. That's not somebody you definitely want to bet on in the future. Definitely. Dangerous. He's got technical skills. He's talented. I'll even say he's skillful. But there's also an aspect to fighting, which is the heart. And he simply lacks that. We saw it against Benoit. And if you didn't listen to me this week and you were like, yo, you wanted to place a bet and you went with him because people overhyped the striking, right? I hope now you realize what I was saying all week, that he don't dig deep, whereas I knew Sadykhov would dig deep. Things were not going his way early. Bonfim was having success in striking. He never wilted. He never gave up. He found the high kick, and he broke Bonfim, and he got a badass win. Savage dog lock, and I'm very happy with this fight. Edmund Shahbazyan, he made such quick work of Dylan Budka. I mean, thank God. At one point, Shahbazyan was like the next big thing after he knocked out Brad Tavares, right? Tavares goes tooth and nail with Adesanya for 5 rounds. Shahbazyan, 2 minutes, knocks him out. Nasty high kicks. In this fight here, we fought an 0-2 Dylan Budka. Straight punch, down goes Budka. I mean, he's like dancing. He did the full-on chicken dance after that straight landed. Goes down, minimal ground and pound. Ref jumps in, stops it. Quick first-round knockout for Shahbazyan. Good. Saves his UFC career. It was a needed win. Thank God for him. He really needed it, man. At this point, I mean, he's Eric Nixick's hope for a champ after he absolutely disrespected Sean Strickland. So let's see. Shahbazyan title run starts now. Shahbazyan title run. It starts now. That's it. Shahbazyan to the top. When I think about Edmund Shahbazyan, though, I mean, you still have to make a lot of questions around when things start going sideways. He gets tired. His grappling is a little sus. He is only 27. No one's ever doubted his striking. He's very fluid with his stand-up. He's got great accuracy on his shots, and he does have knockout power. And he put Budka out easily, but Budka was levels below him. Budka's far from UFC level. To be honest with you, even when Budka got signed to the UFC, that Chad Honeycomb fight was terrible, and I was surprised that they signed him. Edmund Shahbazyan is in an interesting position, right? Because he's fought a ton of guys at middleweight. He's been in there with big names, guys like fucking GM3, Jack Hermanson, Amavo, Fluffy Hernandez, right? He's taken on quality opposition, but when it turns the tide to high level, always tends to wilt. And I don't think you're giving him anybody ranked next. I don't think you can. I mean, that's the issue with him simply is like the skills are there, the technique is there. It's just man. I don't want to say I question his heart like I do with Bonfim. I question his decision making. I mean, a Shara Bullet Edmund Shahbazyan fight wouldn't be horrible because they're both nasty strikers. I don't hate that at all. Trying to think of anybody else that's like calling my name that I know is going to be available. I don't know. Jacob Malkoun would be a hard fight for him with his pressure wrestling, but that's actually not a bad fight to book. Especially Malkoun was supposed to fight Viera, but now, you know, Viera losing to Petroski. I doubt they run the rematch between those two because Malkoun beat Petroski. I don't hate the idea of Malkoun and Edmund Shahbazyan. I really don't. I actually don't think it's a bad idea at all. I know that he lost to GM3 last time. You say, oh, but the GM3 loss stains him. I don't know. That kind of makes sense, man. Jacob Malkoun and Edmund Shahbazyan. Doesn't that have a nice ring to it? Like, I know I talk about, oh, he might fight Shara, but Shara is like a little bit of a level jump above. That could be the matchup. There's also a good striking fight. He could have a good matchup with Leroy Duncan. Leroy Duncan fight Andre Pelayev. To be honest, he could fight the winner of Pelayev and Leroy Duncan. That's not a bad idea either. There's definitely some fights to make with Edmund Shahbazyan. For Dylan Budka, he needs to be cut from the UFC. He's only 25, so he could eventually come back, but he does not need to be fighting at this level. He's 7-5 as a pro. He really needs to train and dial in on his boxing. He lacks. And honestly, I think a cut to 170 might be what he really needs. Good win for Shahbaz. Let's jump to the co-main event. Youssef Zalal technically outpointed Calvin Kattar. I can pretty much tell you the story of the fight. I'll paint the narrative. So round one, Zalal working good straight shots, good kicks to the legs, stance switches, and a ton of lateral movement towards the cage. simply was the matador to Kattar as the bull, who was unsuccessful trying to land big shots. Unable to take Kattar down, though. Calvin Kattar defended all 8 of the takedown attempts by Zalal, and Zalal was riding a submission streak in the UFC. Round number 2, more of the same. Zalal from range, touching Kattar, got hit a couple times, but ultimately still did more damage to Calvin Kattar, big volume edge, and was landing the better shots and staying on his bicycle, and Kattar was unable to chase him down. But in round 3, Youssef Zalal actually started getting caught with some punches, getting backed up. He was avoiding a lot of shots, but he was running from the exchanges. It was really starting to remind me of Floyd Mayweather. The way Floyd Mayweather in boxing would avoid the strikes and just move and slip and stay away. Granted, in round 3, he wasn't really even landing effective offense. He definitely lost the 3rd round. Kattar was putting it on him in round 3 and caught him with some good shots. But Zalal had already, put himself ahead with 2 big, first and second, 2 big rounds, where he clearly sprinted out ahead and was in the lead, and Kattar's trying to walk him down, but Zalal mostly, too quick to hit clean. He got caught clean a couple of times, but was never seriously hurt. Kattar was trying to put it on him, but it was a little too late. Like, if he would have brought that same energy in round 2, maybe things could have went differently, but he saved it until round 3, whether it was because of the gas tank or he couldn't find the timing. I don't know. I'm not in Calvin Kattar's corner. I'm not in his head. But I do know that Zalal technically picked him apart in the first 2 rounds. It was very impressive early, and his lateral movement is difficult to deal with. But I will say that 3rd round, it caused the fans to turn against him. I had people calling him the featherweight Bilal Muhammad. The way the hate was starting to build in the chat forum is they didn't like the way that he was avoiding engaging in exchanges. And in round 3, you can say he coasted. He stayed away from Kattar. Now he's ahead. He should try to do something like that. But ultimately, he lost the 3rd round. He got backed up a lot. He got put in uncomfortable positions. And he was running from him, legitimately running. In a 5-round fight, who knows how this one goes? Kattar's in it. But this is now 4 straight losses for Calvin Kattar, who I think is potentially on like the career chopping block, or at least damn close to it. I don't think he's going to be in the UFC as much longer. Maybe one more fight. Maybe. But it could be it. It could be done here. Calvin Kattar was ranked number 10 coming into this fight. He was coming off of that really bad loss to Aljo where he got completely bodied. Youssef Zalal now is going to break into the top 15. I don't know exactly where you rank him, but Kattar ranked at 10. You have to assume that Lerone Murphy moves up to the number 10 spot. Giga Chikadze probably moves up to 11. Kattar maybe at 14, maybe Ige 15. I don't know. Maybe Kattar's out of the rankings. They might boot Edson Barboza from the rankings. He's injured, and his fight against Steve Garcia next week is off. Not sure exactly what's going to happen with the rankings, but I do know that Youssef Zalal deserves a number next to a name, even if it's 15. A fight that intrigues me for Youssef Zalal a lot is Youssef Zalal versus Dan Ige. I'm curious to see how Zalal will deal with Ige's aggressive blitz. Now, I know he beat the number 10 ranked guy, Calvin Kattar, who's, 4 spots ahead of Ige. But just because you're 4 spots ahead of Ige and, at a different time or a superior fighter to him on paper, I don't think that necessarily, he beat Ige, but that was a long time ago, 2020. I think Dan Ige is more primed, and I'm curious if Dan Ige's hand speed could be more of a deciding factor in the fight that could make the Youssef Zalal matchup, at least a bit more compelling than this one. Like, Ige could turn it into more of a dogfight. I like the Dan Ige fight against Youssef Zalal. Right now, Zalal is absolutely one of the hottest prospects on the come up. He's 28 years old. Definitely lost a bit of the hype from some of the fans, but I don't think you have to view him as that. I think you have to look at it like this. He just beat Calvin Kattar by a unanimous decision. He outstruck a guy who's known for very good boxing. And if you look at Kattar's losses, yes, he lost to Aljo in the fight before, but grapple fucked in that fight. Arnold Allen fight, he was injured, inconclusive finish. And against Josh Emmett in 2022, I thought he won the fight. He lost a split decision. And prior to that, he fucked up Giga Chikadze really bad. I don't know. That Dan Ige fight calls my name. Him and Dan Ige is a decent one. Now, it's not crazy to think that maybe him and Edson Barboza could potentially tangle. That's a cool matchup of kickboxers as well. You could see them trying to go in a different direction with him. If they really want to move him up the ranks, he could end up fighting, the Giga Chikadze David Onama winner, which is currently a rumored bout, but that might be coming to fruition. That's not a bad idea. But I don't know. That Dan Ige fight is the one I want. I'd say Youssef Zalal, Dan Ige. There's a chance they don't book it because of the entertainment value with Zalal's performance here, leaving things to be desired. And maybe, the UFC is not going to be crazy about that. But I still think you have to give him a lot of credit for going from unranked to beating the number 10 guy in the world, and you put him in a co-main event. Zalal's got a lot of experience. I mean, he fought Ilia Topuria in Topuria's UFC debut, fought against Sean Woodson as well. He's taken on a lot of good names. I think this is, second run for Zalal. And say what you want about the performance, the fact that he was able to beat Cavalcanti is still impressive, even if it was not super exciting. He did what needed to be done. He outstruck him in the first two. He survived the third, and he wins the fight. Congrats to Youssef Zalal for the W. And top 15 next. Let's go. Let's talk about the main event. If you guys have not yet, make sure you guys smash the like button. If you're new, subscribe. It was a sensational main event. Back and forth war. This fight was great. That's what I'm going to just jump out and say right away. This fight was great. This is what I really think was like the max potential of what this fight could bring. In round number one, RoboCop looked like RoboCop. Fucking terrifying. Walking Cannonier down, making him look like a small man and just backing him up with big shots, rocking him. He dropped him twice in round one, and things looked really bad for Jared Cannonier early. It seemed like RoboCop was starting to take advantage. Things change a little bit. Round two is more competitive. It's like RoboCop gassed. RoboCop got big muscles, man. He slowed down in round two. The danger factor in round one with how he was ripping shots in the pocket and just effortlessly walking down Jared Cannonier and cracking him with bombs. Round two, that was not what we saw. Round two, he tried to exchange a bit, but he was getting caught with counters. He was a little uncomfortable on the feet, looked a little slower and more slovenly in the way that he was striking, more slop to his stand-up. Then things change in round three. Things change badly in round three. It's getting competitive. Cannonier looks like he's slowing down, and RoboCop is starting to find momentum. RoboCop's actually letting some hands go, landing some decent strikes. He's backing up Cannonier, and like it's starting to feel like maybe RoboCop can turn up. He got caught with some big shots that round, but it's like maybe he's starting to turn up, and Cannonier's starting to wilt. Of course, Jared Cannonier digs deep. What was it? The right elbow? Nasty shot. The elbow of Cannonier, completely underrated. Drops Rodrigues at the end of round number three. And to be honest, if there was 30 seconds left, the fight is over. Rodrigues is surviving from the bottom, trying to kick Cannonier off. Couple ground and pound strikes, but nothing substantial. The round ends, and RoboCop is busted open, leaking blood everywhere, kind of just laying on the ground. He gets up slowly, and you knew he didn't have much left. You knew he didn't have much left. He was done. To be honest with you, seeing how the next round went, they could have easily stopped the fight in the corner. Not saying they should have. The Warrior let him go out in the shield. But they could have stopped the fight in the corner. Round number four. This is when Cannonier showed his level. Backing RoboCop up, hitting him with some solid punches, and like RoboCop is done. You can tell he's done. He's turtling away. As Cannonier's ripping strikes in the feet, RoboCop literally just collapses and goes down and turtles up. Big shots by Cannonier. Ref stops it. RoboCop's like, I want out of this fight. I got broken. Cannonier, you are that guy. At 40 years old, nearly 41, he'll be 41 next month, Jared Cannonier is the ageless wonder. Holy shit. Holy shit. Jared Cannonier is built differently. The dude is 41, about to be, but in incredible and peak physical condition, absolutely has heart of a fucking lion. Did not quit against Gregory Rodrigues when things got testy. Things got testy, man, and Gregory Rodrigues was dangerous early. And that could have broken a lot of people, but it didn't break Jared Cannonier. They looked to give RoboCop a massive jump up in ranks. If you really look at that opportunity, RoboCop leading into this fight was not ranked in the top 15, but he was surely the most hyped up and terrifying guy outside of that top 15. And he got a massive fight against number 7, Jared Cannonier. I think there was expectation that maybe he could pass this Cannonier test and be a legit threat to some of the top guys because his punching power is terrifying. His size for the weight class is exceptional. He looks like a light heavyweight, and he's got high-level jiu-jitsu. But what we learned in this fight is Gregory Rodrigues, not an extremely high-caliber wrestler. Jared Cannonier also showed very good takedown defense. It's not me taking anything away from Cannonier, but Gregory Rodrigues, not a super high caliber wrestler. His takedowns at times looked very like pure jiu-jitsu, and ultimately that's not going to work against somebody like Cannonier who has incredible hips. In the striking department, Rodrigues is super powerful, but he's limited outside of his pressuring power attack. Now, he had a great first round. He had a sensational first round. He landed 2 knockdowns. The only way it goes better is if he finishes the fight. Does not have the gas to go longer, nor the fight IQ to change things up. He couldn't change it. It's pressure style, and that's about it. And Cannonier caught him with some big shots and was making him uncomfortable, was beating him down slowly but surely. You could see RoboCop wilting as he's taking deep breaths and, leading up to the finish, end of round 3, and then into round 4. It looked like it was wraps. And Jared Cannonier, OG vet, proven to always be able to dig deep, does it again and spoils the Gregory Rodrigues party and wins as a massive underdog in the main event. The ageless wonder, Jared Cannonier. Fucking hell, man. Round of applause to Cannonier. That right there, impressive, because he had to dig super deep. It's not like he just blitzed Rodrigues with one big punch and he caught him. It's like, oh, well, Rodrigues never had a chin. No. Rodrigues took some bombs, walked him down, threw everything he had at him, and Jared Cannonier still able to survive, able to finish. Where does, Cannonier go? I love the Paulo Costa fight, but timelines don't look like they're working out because Costa might be fighting soon. Roman Dolidze, Marvin Vettori fighting. If Dolidze gets past Vettori, I know Cannonier had a field day with Vettori. I'm not suggesting that rematch. But Cannonier versus Dolidze is a really interesting fight. I like the idea of seeing those two face off. That's not a bad idea. Now, he could fight the winner of Anthony Hernandez, Brendan Allen. That's also a matchup that looms on the horizon. There's a crazy idea, less likely, but a Sean Strickland rematch. Cannonier does have a win over Sean Strickland. Strickland coming off of the second loss to Dricus du Plessis. He's essentially out of the title picture. Not a bad idea. They may do, Strickland Amavov too, so it could go a different route. Things might go differently. Amavov currently ranked the #1 contender. Isn't that something? They're giving Khamzat the shot at number 3, but Amavov ranked #1. Strickland and Amavov on paper makes a ton of sense according to the rankings, but don't know if the UFC is going to go down that route. Barrio might potentially fight Amavov for a #1 contender fight. The middleweight division is hot right now, and Cannonier, he's definitely out of the title picture. I don't see him ever fighting Dricus du Plessis, but I think that he can still compete, especially with guys outside of the top 6. When I look at the top 6, I say, man, these are nightmare matchups for him. Guys like Khamzat, guys like Adesanya, Whitaker, Barrio, guys who have already beaten him. Amavov, Strickland, du Plessis. Granted, has to win over Strickland, so the rematch is there. But when I look down, he already beat Vettori. I could see him giving Brendan Allen trouble. I could see him giving Dolidze trouble. Costa, same type of thing. Fluffy Hernandez and him's a cool fight. There's a lot of great matchups for Jared Cannonier. It depends what direction they want to go down, but I'm very interested to see what the UFC decides for him. I look forward to Jared Cannonier's next fight. I mean, if you want to just do fun fights for Cannonier, him versus Michel Pereira could be something to make. I like that matchup. Is Pereira booked against anybody right now? Let's find out. Currently, Michel Pereira is scheduled to fight Abus Magomedov. I mean, he could fight the winner of Abus and him, but less hype on that one. Less hype on that one. Very interesting. Roman Kopylov is there. Dude, somehow Cannonier holds on. Now for Gregory Rodrigues, I think it's back to the unranked fighters. I don't think he should be fighting inside of the top 15. But there's still matchups to be had outside of it. I don't know the exact direction they'll go for him. I don't know. Ikram Aliaskarov, Andre Muniz, loser maybe. That's not a horrible idea. He could end up fighting the Pereira Abus Magomedov loser. That's not a terrible idea either. Could even fight someone like Paul Craig if they're looking to give him a step down in competition. Lots of unknowns about the direction that they go with Gregory Rodrigues, but the truth is, he blew his chance. Like, this was the chance of a lifetime. Very rarely does an unranked fighter get to fight someone in the top 15 or top, I guess eventually everybody in the top 15, but top 10. I mean, we saw, Zalal with Kattar. That's a rare instance. But now you're fighting not the top 10 guy. You're fighting the number 7 guy in the world. This was the chance of a lifetime where if Rodrigues was able to win, he could have put himself into a top contender fight next. He could have fought one of the legacy names. He could have fought somebody even like an Adesanya next if he pulled through with the win. So ultimately, this is an unfortunate fumble for him. It'll now send him to the unranks, but still a fun guy to watch. Super entertaining style. I don't think he ever fixes the gas tank woes. I feel like he's just too jacked for it. But overall, gutsy effort from Gregory Rodrigues, where he definitely showed his strengths, but his weaknesses are evident too. If you can survive that onslaught, he'll start to fatigue in the later stages. But you got to beat Cannonier to stop this beast, and you're going to have to take some serious damage early because he can fucking crack, man. I like the idea of Gregory Rodrigues, Marvin Vettori. I know this is a nonsensical matchup, but I think that makes sense. I know that rankings-wise it makes 0, but fight-wise, Gregory Rodrigues, Marvin Vettori, regardless, like if Vettori lost to Dolidze, that fight could be it. I don't think they're giving Gregory another chance to break into the rankings, but maybe he just main evented. Vettori and Gregory Rodrigues, I mean, it still could be a fight done later this year that brings intrigue. I'm interested in it. Even Delidze versus Gregory Rodrigues. If Delidze loses to Vettori in their rematch, not bad ideas. There's options, man. The UFC got a lot of options right now with Gregory Rodrigues, who definitely is a fan favorite, but not an elite guy. Even the Michelle Pereira fight would be pretty cool. Ultimately, Cannonier gets it done, outdogs him, and holds on to his spot at number 7. And we'll see what's next. But still some interest in Jared Cannonier. I like Strickland or Delidze next for him if I'm really going matchups. I've asked for the Paulo Costa fight for years for him, but I have no expectation that the timelines are going to work. Now, as far as the card as a whole, I got to say I loved it. I thought the main event was epic. Co-main event left something to be desired, but Zalal did what needed to be done. Quick knockout for Shahbaz was cool. The head kick here was absolutely sick for Sadykhov. Vieira and Petroski was a decent back-and-forth fight. Delgado looked like a killer against Matthews. I mean, with Angela Hill and Souza, was a close back-and-forth. Estevam Aguilar was okay. Estevam exposed in a win. Bonfim looked sensational against Khaos. Elijah Smith and Morales was a dog fight. Valter Walker like an animal against Mays. Cavalcanti outpointed Avila. I mean, if I give it a score for an Apex card, bro, this is close to, it's like a 9 out of 10 Apex card. But if I score it fairly as a whole for a card, I feel like it's an 8 out of 10 card. If you look in name value wise, maybe less, but I'd say like 8 out of 10, 7.8 maybe on the low scale, 7.9 you can call it if you want to put it right in the middle. Quality card for sure. As an Apex card, sensational, and it rarely gets better than this. As a fight night overall, I thought it was excellent. As a UFC card, I enjoyed the hell out of it. I like the Apex every once in a while, and I thought that the card definitely delivered. Now, as far as my picks, 10 wins, 2 losses. Of course, I lost with RoboCop in the main event with Cannonier out dogging him. Respect to Cannonier. You still got it, bro. I was confident RoboCop could put him away, and he almost did. But Cannonier's built different, bro. The relentless and ageless wonder, Jared Cannonier, looked in the best shape of his life, to be honest. Had Zalal over Kattar, as expected. We're 1-1 there. Shahbazyan over Budka, as expected. 2-1. Sadykhov is my savage dogluck over Bonfim, 3-1. And then Petroski over Viera, underdog call again, 4-1. That was money. So on the main card, 4-1. Get to the prelims, Delgado, Matthews. Of course, I called the knockout. Most did. Had Hill by split decision over Souza. Another one there. Had Estevam by decision against Aguilar. Almost perfect picks every time. Submission for Bonfim over Williams. Smith Morales. I did pick Morales to win a close one, but you know what? It was a competitive fight. Morales finished strong. Smith got him. He passed the test. I'll take the loss right on the chin. Submission for Walker over Mays with the heel hook, and something I mentioned is the leg lock throughout the week. And Cavalcanti by decision over Avila. Perfect call. So a lot of my correct picks, 10 of them, perfect predictions. That's pretty badass. And then the 2 losses, main event loss with RoboCop getting outdogged by an absolute savage and Cannonier, and a close fight loss in the prelims with Elijah Smith passing the UFC debut test against Vince Morales. I'll call this a damn success of a night right here, and I'm feeling great about my underdog calls. 2 back-to-back savage dog calls on the main card. I felt blessed, man. 3 underdogs overall on the main card, so that's pretty great. Very excited for more UFC. The marathon continues and my content flow does not stop. Daily content, keep it locked in. Smash the likes. If you guys haven't yet, hit subscribe too. Thank you guys for 44,000 subs, man. We just wrapped up the Fight Companion a little while ago and hit 44,000 subs on it. I'm so blessed, man. You guys are absolutely awesome, and I love each and every one of you. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for the support, and I'm so grateful, man. We hit the 44K. 44K AJ. Let's go, man. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you thought of the fights in the comments. Give the card a score, 1 to 10. I'm curious. And if you just enjoy the content and you want to support, W in the comments to boost the algorithm for your boy. Full card predictions. I mean, today for me is February 16th, so they'll be dropping later today. I'll be breaking down UFC Seattle. And then Monday to Friday, lunchtime lives every single day, 12:30 p.m. Eastern time with the normal video content flow, news, reactions, betting, podcasts, everything that I'm doing, weigh-in, show, and more. And on top of that, evening streams too. So the content influx does not stop. Keep it locked in on the channel. I love you all. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.